Madam Toastmaster, Toastmasters all, and guests. 551 BC, a master was born in China. It is this time the Chinese, the period called the Spring-Autumn period. During this period, philosophy, literature thrived. This teacher wanted to bring harmony to the country, so he proposed a system to maintain harmony, all the way from the emperor right down to the citizen. For example, he stated that the emperor is the son of heaven. He is responsible to the citizen of the country. He needs to be just. In return, the people will be loyal to obey the emperor at all times. He developed a system for the father to the son, the mother to the daughter, the husband to the wife, and so on. He believed in a hierarchy of order. So, for example, the husband must be virtuous to his wife. In return, the wife will have to obey the husband. Have a guess. Who was the teacher? Confucius. Yes, Confucianism. He developed a very strict patriarchal hierarchy for China. So Confucianism ruled for almost 200,000 over years. It formed the basis of Chinese culture over that period. Until 1927, there was a young general leader of the Chinese army. He wrote in his little red book, "Women hold up half the sky," he said in that book. Mao Zedong brought in Marxism to China. He believed in equality. He believed in the oppressed, fighting for the oppressed, bring them up. And guess which group is the most oppressed in the Chinese society? The women. They were subservient to the husband. So they were in the house looking after baby, looking after the husband. So what he did? Overnight, he declared that women will be equal to men. There will be no discrepancy between the pay of men and women. Look, this was a long time ago. Equality of men and women. That was long before Germaine Greer burned her bras. Some of you can still remember that. Yes, that was a long time ago. So overnight, he swept away Confucianism. Women came out from their house, from their homes, and become peasants. They work in a farm, they work in production line, while the men went and fought against the Japanese who were occupying China. So he mobilized the women away from their home. Then who looked after the children? It was Mao who developed child care centers. He developed massive child care centers so that to enable the women to go out to work. All these brought women from home, from being subservient to men, to equality. And then, can I have 8 to 10, please? Yeah. And then Mao died. Right? 1976. He died in 1976. After that, there was turmoil for a couple of years. And then Chairman Deng Xiaoping, I think it's in English, came to power. He saw the problem of overpopulation. He saw population explosion as one of the biggest threat to China. So, in 1979, he proposed the one-child family. That changed women's status in the society from equality way down. Why? Abortion based on sex. So, female fetus were aborted. Female children, babies were abandoned. And even worse, female infanticide was practiced. The result of that was that there was an unequal number of boys versus girls. Now that happened 1979. Let's skip right to the present moment. The one-child family was started almost about 30 years ago. Now both the guys and the girls are now in their 20s and their 30s. What are they going to do in 20s and 30s? The guys need to find a wife. Let me bring you back to some simple economics. Economics 101. When demand exceeds supply, what happened? In your economics?
We fight.
Price goes up. Right. The basic economics, right? The price rises when demand exceeds supply. Now, the guy is going to look for wife. There isn't enough wives to go around, is there? So, women has a power back. I'll give you an example. My friend from Shanghai just went back to China. He said, I've got to buy an apartment for my son. I said, what for? He's working. Eventually he can get his own apartment. He said, no, I've got to get an apartment for my son, otherwise he won't get a wife. Right. This is your example of the power of women. Let me paint you another more interesting scenario. Picture this, right? A husband and wife have a child. Okay? They don't get along together. The wife packs up and goes home to the mother. Common scenario, isn't it? So what's going to happen? Okay? The wife goes home to the mother, she gets another guy and get married and live happily ever after. Now the husband is left holding the baby. I mean, literally holding the baby. Is that a problem? Now, imagine this. One-child family. How many women is going to marry a man and look after somebody else's child and can't have one on her own, for her own? How many? So that poor guy is left struggling to find a wife. So let me finish this segment with a quote from George Orwell. What did he say? All men are born equal, but some women are born more equal than men. Did I get the quotation right? I think so. Maybe my memory is not so good. Okay, let us recap quickly. We started off with Confucianism, where women were subservient to men. By the system, by the order, by the culture. Overnight you get overthrown by Mao Zedong and women became equal. Deng Xiaoping's one-child policy, women, children were down, not wanted. But now, women is now more powerful than men. what is going to happen. Let me forecast, let me look at a crystal ball. What I feel is that when in the city, when the people are educated, women will continue to be more powerful. In fact, Forbes magazine published in 2011 quoted that out of the 45 them were from China. But, however, in the farm, in the pastures, the momentum of Confucianism of over 2,000 years will probably continue to flourish in spite of that little bit by Mao Zedong. So, let's see if I'm right. Madam Toastmaster
was wanting to make all women equal. And this was the sort of part I liked about the speech, because I started to think, the speech is about women in China, and the speech is going to be about how Confucius were talking about making women equal in the present, in the past. But as it turns out, as the speech developed, we found out the actual speech is more about women now in the present, about how there's more women in the population than men in China. So I really liked that twist that kept us sort of guessing about what the whole speech. And then, of course, the conclusion, which was also fantastic. Kiong said to us, now let's recap. And he took us back through the whole speech again, just in case we'd forgotten some of the points he was making. I really liked that. It really tied the whole speech together. It was fantastic. So did this speech meet the objectives? I think absolutely. It was filled with facts. Kiong's been to China many times, so he's got a bit of personal knowledge on the subject. But he also didn't rely just on that. He also brought in Forbes magazine facts as well into the speech, so it made it all professional. And of course, we've all been informed. We've all learned a little bit more about the women in China now, so it definitely met the objectives, I think. And then I want to talk about some of the things I liked, because as I announced, Kiong is the Grand Master, so how can he not expect a good speech from him? And I've got about 10 things here. Vocal variety. At one point he was talking about obey, but he said it in a loud voice, obey, and half the sky was some of the things I brought. He also had great eye contact, gestures, pointing fingers, arms in the air, moving, opening his arms to the audience. Fantastic. Of course, everything else was fantastic. He smiles as well. The audience involvement and good pause. So what can I say? Improvements for the speech. Well, how can I give any improvements for that? I mean, it's very difficult because it's Kiong. The only thing, I guess, he didn't announce the timing of the speech, so there was a bit of a mix-up in between about where Kiong had to tell the timekeeper that his speech was intended to be 6 to 8 minutes, but that lasted a split second and it was over. Back to the speech, very good. And I mean, it did go over time, but I don't think anyone really noticed it, because it felt like a quick speech. I didn't notice the time going at all, so I can't really fault that either. So all in all, I love this speech, and as always, Kiong, you've entertained us, and thank you very much. Can't wait till your next one. Madam Toastmaster.